Hello, my name is Yatika Fields. I'm a painter, an artist, originally from Oklahoma, living in Brooklyn, New York. Behind me is a painting that I finished today, a live painting exhibition with fellow artist Jeff Ham, where we just kind of, put out the canvas, the paints, and just had fun and talked to people and just let the paints fly. Create the background, create a good balance with that, color composition, create a second layer, make that correlate into that balance, and so until the layers just keep on adding up, but they're all balanced off each other to the initial base. So therefore you're going to have something that you can work with, but you still got to find it, through those organic and solid lines. And eventually you're going to get something that I think is pleasing. With this particular piece behind me, I definitely think my strong point is with brush and thin brushes where I can use cuts and lines when they're wet and create really fine lines. And then of course I did add a little bit of stencil just for really crisp lines, and I just kind of like the effect that stencils do. It's kind of just a repetitive design you can almost make with that, and it kind of eliminates the use of brush work by like 20 minutes. I have to make crisp lines pretty fast, and so I definitely use brushes that can do that. With organic forms, I naturally gravitate towards organic forms, even in my studio paintings as well as live paintings. It's just something that comes natural to me, of a flow almost, that you see in a lot of my works. Just a flow of motion, almost like wind or clouds or even grass rolling in the wind, anything that's anywhere you look, you can probably see it, but definitely organic forms play a big part in my creation of live paintings and studio paintings. I like that there's the straight lines and then the organic forms, because they can correlate with each other in the correct way if you kind of allow it to, and play with your brush or know how to make certain moves. But I think I like the correlation between them both, and when they do come together and collaborate. When I'm painting this, I let occurrence happen, and you kind of have to figure it out what's going on. I call it pulling it back. All right, I got to pull it back now. It's gone somewhere, but I gotta, it's my mission. We're both working together on this, and it's gonna allow me to, I think. So, but I think that's part of the game of it. It's like a puzzle. Okay, how can I do this? And you're gonna use all the skill and knowledge that you have to do it. And so that makes it fun on my part and makes it interesting for me. It's like a chess game or something. You really got to think and strategize about what you're gonna do. Really fast with just your eyes looking everywhere. When I paint in the studio, I definitely, go for fast motions to keep that spontaneous line there, and then keep that existing throughout the whole painting. So in the end product, you're going to have that initial movement, that speed, as opposed to, just like setting slowly, it's an actual speed that happened. And by capturing that, you're bringing this force out that is there. And I think by doing that and doing light painting, I think for me that's I feel like I'm pretty successful at light painting because I understand that, and just be confident in the movements that you're creating and stick with it and just let it evolve. Oh yeah, I mean you come across things that are unexpected, like I said earlier, and you remember that, you remember things, and so you'll maybe jot it down, or you go back to the studio and I look at photos, I like what I did right there, because you're working faster and things happen faster, as opposed to maybe in the studio, where you're kind of really working it out, you have time to look at it, you have time to sit down and evaluate it. But with light painting, these things happen, just by accident or just you're timed or whatever, and so you can definitely use some ideas from live painting, I feel like. Some of them are open-ended. I think majority of them do have themes in the end. For instance, one could be street art, where the usage of stencils, spray paint, markers, wheat paste, you can use anything, and and that totally transformed a painting from just using brushes. You know, some people have a weakness with brush, and some people with spray can. So it's different. Or others are just using a minimal color range, black and white or yellow. So it just depends on what the occasion is and who's throwing it. But having the option of changing it up like that definitely makes for an interesting battle or an interesting live painting event. So. But when you're like in front of a wall and you're trying to create a piece, part of the thing is, movement, keeping a steady hand with it, and then you can do it continuous, it's like hand control. And so it's like, with that, I kind of integrated that motion and knowing how to move like that into these paintings and into my studio work as well. You look at old school New York graffiti pieces, you see them like popping, like wow. So there's definitely an influence on graffiti.